Oh, I start it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Hey there, folks. I'm Isaac, and I have 4 maybe 5 gym badges. I have gym badges,
Okay, and I'm Claire, and I have a Pokemon named Jerry.
and this is Make
that
Game,
where we pitch the latest
the greatest
new video game ideas.
that aren't ever gonna get made. They're not.
No games in this house.
Yeah, I know I said they're not, and it seemed like I was going to follow up with something, but alas, not today. Not for you, dear listeners. So, okay, we're going to start off with a notice. I know this isn't the
Beep, beep,
news and
beep,
update.
beep.
Beep,
No,
beep,
it's
beep,
not.
beep, 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 beep. Yeah, so we are not going to be having an episode next week. So at the time that you're listening to this, and we know that you're a Tuesday listener. This is 9 a.m. Tuesday morning on the 29th. So,
Or if you're listening on audio, it's 8 a.m. actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
8 a.m. for audio, 9 a.m. for video. Go write it down in your calendars, listeners. But
Okay.
anyway.
I actually didn't know that. I thought it
Yeah.
I thought it was synced up. So, okay. December 6th. No episode.
No episode.
But yeah, okay. So, hey Claire, do you have a game pitch?
I do have a game pitch.
Oh, good. You delayed a little bit. You paused, and I was like,
I was being a little goofy silly.
do you
but
not have one?
I do have one.
We don't talk in between podcasts.
Actually,
listeners.
at all. This is actually the only time we talk to each other.
Exactly. This 40 minutes or so.
Just walk around the house in silence all other times of the week. Anyway, so my working title is called Fakery.
I like this already.
Combining fake and fakery.
Oh,
and
I thought that you were going a different direction.
Oh, what direction did you think I was going in?
Kidding.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm pulling some of that Great British Baking Show humor.
We're in a silly, goofy mood. Let me say that. All right, so it's called Fakery. It is a 2D platformer similar to Mario. Those who know the Mario Bros. Mario Bros. Like that.
Famous for their baking. They love cakes.
No. It's like Mario if you were a baker, I guess. So basically, you are in a baking competition. Wow, I wonder where I got this idea. And you're a baker in a competition, but you have to collect the pastries that have escaped. And the trick to this game is that the enemies are also pastries.
Okay.
So they look the same. So you have to pick which ones. Like if if you play Animal Crossing and there's a shell on the ground and you go to pick it up and you're like, oh my god, it was a hermit crab. So you could go to collect a pastry and it looks like an eclair, but then it's actually a monster.
So wait, hold on. This entire game is mimics?
Yeah, pastry mimics.
The entire game, they're just like everything in this, every pastry in this game. This game revolves around pastry, and everything in this game, every pastry in this game is a mimic.
Except for the ones that aren't, and those are the
ones
you
right.
need to
You're
collect.
right. But the entire point is there's tons of pastries, and most of them are not actually pastries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so it's timed. So each level is like an episode or a baking challenge. So you have to get your pastries to the judging table by the end of the end of the level, and then and so if you don't, then you lose and you have to start the level over again. Each level would have interesting locations. So some would make sense, like city streets, an actual bakery, but also there'll be an underwater level because it's me.
Of course. And you can't get your pastry soggy. So in order to get to the end of the level, you have to navigate raising and lowering the water and
I like that.
Putting the pastry in locations where it won't get wet, and then you have to throw it over a fence and then dive under and come back out. Oh, this is interesting mechanics, folks.
There will also be over time you're supposed to kind of learn a little bit more about how to define like to kind of tell like, oh, is that a real pastry or not? Like maybe an eclair would never be on a windowsill, but pie would. So like if you find pie on a windowsill, it's probably real. But if you find pie like in a bush, that's probably not pie. I don't know.
Okay, I like that. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Are Noel and Matt like little goblins that hide all the pastries? Is that what's going on here? Why are you collecting the pastries that you baked?
I didn't come up with the why, but you know what? I like this. I like that there's two goofy hosts who have stolen all your pastries and hid them in these levels, and now you have to collect them before judging, or you'll be out of the competition. I also made a quick note because it is a 2D platformer. I was like, could I actually make this game in Mario Maker or something similar?
I guess know if Mario Maker has like mimics.
Yeah, the mimics would be hard. I don't think I could actually do that. But hey, it was a thought. I should get back into Mario Maker. I never finished.
What you can probably do is they have like the question mark blocks that things can come out of. And I don't know if this is like a feature of it, but like you could just have all the blocks and like either a power up or an enemy could come out, and that could be like the pastry mechanic.
The pastries. Yeah, I'd have to look into it. But anyway, I was like putting a little note because I'm like, I should use Mario Maker more. It's really fun.
Yeah. Design those game levels. That's what we do here.
So that's my game. That's fakery.
Wow. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. At first, I was a little scared. I was like, everything is a mimic. It's a mimic the game, which is like, everybody hates mimics.
I think people love to hate mimics. I don't think they really hate mimics.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. That'll be a poll idea. Let me mark clip.
Jot that down. Yeah, so that was my game. Isaac, do you have a game to pitch to me?
I do. So, one of the comments on one of our videos on our channel, I got very specific with that one, requested horror game idea. Ooh. And we love our listeners, we love our fans, we love our interactions, our engagement, so I came up with a horror game. The working title, this has a typo in it, but I'm going to share. It says Flesh from Blown.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be flesh from bone, and so it's BLONE, and that's pretty fun. I should come up with a game idea for that, but
I don't know if you should, but I don't know if I want to play that game. But all right, let's hear it.
So, Flesh from Bone is a horror game about a plague of locusts that descend upon this town, city area. And they are meat eaters. They strip the fresh flesh from the bone, is where the title comes from. So you're caught in this like weird infestation, and you have to escape from where like this locust swarm is. Pretty generic horror game setup. Like you're in a town, something happens to the town, you have to get out of the town. Okay. Locust swarms. Here's the unique stuff. Because it's a locust swarm, so you're going to be walking around, and the locusts aren't going to be like ever present. Like they're not going to be like an enemy that you can shoot or anything. It's just every once in a while there will be like a loud droning sound, and that signals that you have to hide in some place that doesn't have like a fairly sealed up place. And because locust swarms are a bunch of individual entities, they could sort of act like a liquid.
Okay.
And like get into some like so you have to be constantly scanning your environment for like safe looking places, because if you go into a house that might be fine, but you didn't notice that the window was broken, or you didn't notice that it had a chimney or something, and the locust swarm will get into like will come through the broken window, eat you alive. It'll come down the chimney. Maybe you have to hide like specifically in a pantry or something inside the house, or you have to find a completely different house. And because it's like a liquid, like there's always going to be some small amount of locusts that will find you no matter where you are. But 5 locusts, you can just swat them and your character will get annoyed. And where this comes into play is sometimes you find like a nice sealed area safe from the locusts, but there's bad people in there. Like either people who are like the government agents trying to cover up a a conspiracy gone bad, or just people who are taking advantage of the apocalypse to be evil or whatever, and maybe like you're fighting them, but if locusts are like biting at you, you swat one off your face, and that gives the enemy enough time to like smack you or shoot you or whatever. And you have to constantly be paying attention, like, are there locusts in this room? How do I get the locusts taken care of before I deal with like the big human threat or whatever? And the way that you do that is like torches and certain scents and stuff can make like relatively safe areas. Like if you have a mosquito torch, you can carry that around with you for as long as that burns, and then once that goes out, the swarm descends upon you. Um, all in all, this game feels like an idea that once I say the blurb, it's just you automatically understand what the rest of if you've played games before, this just seems like, okay, this is Plague Tale. Okay. This is
Yeah,
Plague
okay,
Tale,
that's what
but
I was
instead of
thinking about.
the rats can fly.
Yeah, Plague Tale, but the rat. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I was imagining while you were describing it. I'm like, ooh, where have I heard of creepy swarms before?
Yeah. So I get the thing that sets it apart is like the theming. It's not a medieval thing. It's still got like the stealth aspect going on. But Plague Tale, the rat swarms were all kind of very scripted to an extent. It at least it felt like. I don't know if that's actually true. No, yeah, they definitely were. But this could be like you have like an area that you have to go through, and it doesn't necessarily have to have the locust swarm scripted. It does the loud droning sound that gives you, the player, the warning, like, oh crap, this is where I need to dive down to. And it could semi randomly happen, and you would just need to lay like bunker down for a little bit before the swarm moves on, or there might be scripted events where it like drives you into the sewer and you have to navigate like underground, or it might require you to like, even if you saw the obvious path on the outside, the swarm might drive you to take an inside route, like you go down into a basement and find out that it was like a one of those what do they call like the people who think that the prepper? It's
Oh,
like a
prepper.
prepper
Yeah.
basement, and they actually have like dug out their own like super long facility that connects to other basements in the area, and you're like, oh, I can get through the town this way. But yeah, overall, pretty simple game idea. I've probably already talked more about it than the average person would, but I'm trying to fill time on this
Well,
podcast.
so you said it wasn't set in medieval times. Did you say when it was set? It's like present day.
I imagine it's a pretty present day kind of situation.
It reminds me a lot
Um,
of Warrior Nun.
Yes. Okay. In fact, this is now Warrior Nun, the game.
Okay.
Even though locusts did not really eat people
No,
in that. Anyway, spoiler alert for Warrior Nun. There's locusts, and they don't
I don't
eat
think
people.
that's not like a huge spoiler, really.
No, you
No,
you
it might
hear the
even be
show Warrior
more of
Nun.
a teaser. Like, actually, everyone should
It's
get.
true.
Everyone needs to start watching Warrior Nun right now, or we might not get a third season. So, like,
We,
please watch Warrior Nun.
we need the third season, people.
Even if you just start in season 2, great. Like,
Let's go.
yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, that seems like it'd be kind of a pretty creepy game. Are you gonna see like fleshless bodies like all over the
Oh,
place?
yeah, you're gonna see
Yeah.
people getting flesh stripped from their bone,
Great.
otherwise known as their blown.
Yep. Yeah.
Perfect game.
Perfect game. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we're actually going to. I don't really know if this is going to even be a honk and bonk, but instead of
doing some-
asking a question, I guess the question we're going to ask is we're gonna say the topic is Pokemon, and the question is why.
did Pokemon do it this time?
Why?
Did the new game do it? Okay, yeah. So this segment, we're just gonna rant about Pokemon, I think.
Yeah, well, the game design elements of Pokemon
Yes,
specifically.
we are a game design podcast, not a review podcast. This is not going to be a review. We won't tell you whether to play it or not. All right. So we, again, do not communicate outside of this podcast. We are in
Never.
utter silence at all times. So we did not like come up with like mini segments or anything.
We
I'm
should
going to start off with my first observation game design breakdown. The game presents itself, it says to you, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And it says, here's 2 options that you can go to. And then if you go to anywhere but those 2 options, the game design says, oh, you've actually made a mistake. You should have gone to one of those 2 places I told you to. And the way that it does this, so the game says, go anywhere you want. Then if you every area has set levels that it's at, and you need to be certain levels just to achieve it. So my journey is I go do the first gym that they tell you to. I follow the script. I do what they want me to. Then I go find there's these enemies called the Titans. They're big Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I fight one of them. It's easy. I'm like, okay, I can go wherever, do whatever I want. So I go to the next closest Titan. Just it's super easy to get to from the one that I was at. It's like basically within line of sight, like because I'm on top of a mountain. I look down, I see a desert. Oh, there's a Titan down there. I go to that Titan, and it doesn't tell me what level it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it just whoops my butt, and it's
I don't think the Titans have levels. I'm going to be honest. I don't think
well,
they do.
internally they have levels. They just don't show it to you.
Right.
But yeah, the game in that moment said, remember how I said that you can go anywhere? I was not designed to let you go anywhere.
Yeah, so I'll just, like, for game design and, like, how this kind of works, a good example. What do you think I'm going to say? It's Link's Awakening. So Link's Awakening does this in a way where, like, the world is almost pseudo-open, where you can walk around pretty much to quote-unquote wherever you want. However, you won't have the skills needed to make it to places where you're not supposed to be yet. So, like, an early example is before you get a sword, you can't cut down bushes. So anywhere where there's bushes, like, in the way of you moving to a new location, you can't go there, right? So it's like once you get the sword, then you can progress to the new area, which, like, the game has decided you're probably, if you got the sword, like, you've done enough to do the things that are in this area, so you're not frustrated. Like, it still might be challenging, but you have the skills needed. In Pokemon, the example would be having the Pokemon that are, like, the high enough level to do that and trained enough and whatever. Yes. So then the other way to do this would be, and what I kind of assumed happened, because I don't know what's going on. I'm playing in French. I have no idea what's going on. And so I didn't know what the first 2 places you're supposed to go to were. And so I just went to 2 random places, and I just got really lucky that they were fine for me. But they weren't the easiest ones, because I did the easiest gym after, and I was like, oh yeah, that was, like, so easy. But yeah. But what I thought it was doing, because the first 2 things I did were easy, was that no matter where you went, it would alter the level of that challenge, right?
Yes.
Would be the other way to do that. So doing it this way, where where you can go anywhere, but you're not equipped to be anywhere, is kind of an issue as far as, like, playability. So a way they could do that, like, you get to level up your Vroom Vroom machine, which is a Pokemon that you ride.
Yep, your Vroom Vroom machine.
Yep. And, it could be like, oh, well, now that you get jump first, and then now you can jump up the cliffs, and then you can do the cliff one, and then you get water, and then you can do the water. Like, that's how you would do that, in my opinion, to make it make sense.
Which is, like, in a way, that's what Arceus did. So Arceus...
Yeah, Arceus did that, yeah.
So it locked you off from certain areas. Like, it wasn't an open world in that you could go, like, just leave the village and walk to wherever you wanted. You went to a zone, and then inside that zone you would unlock a mount, and then when you rode that mount, like, that would allow you to get different areas, and then you could go to previous zones, and that the new mounts might unlock new areas. So classic way to design this kind of open world. Like, it's not open world in Arceus, it's open zone in that sense. Like, if there's rivers, you can't cross the rivers until you get the swimming mount. Makes perfect sense. The fact that they have these, like, mount upgrades that basically do the same things, like, one is jump higher, one is boost. Boost is just a generic one. I wouldn't expect that one to, like, unlock new areas, but, like, jump higher, I would expect them to have high cliffs that you can only get to the top of with the high jump boost, and, like, that's how they seal off the high level area. Like,
I mean, that's true. Like, they do have that.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't found any.
Yeah, except you cheat up it. That's why.
No, I've only done that, like, one time, and that was because I was lazy and I didn't want to walk around it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why
Like
I
the
would say
path
that.
up was literally in line of sight to me, and I was like, you know what? I can like semi-land halfway up, so I'm just
This is
gonna do the
actually
backwards jump.
a good segue to one of my, I guess, bonks is the way the map is designed. I don't
Oh,
know, maybe I'm just being a lazy butt, but like the fact that like when I look at the map, I can't really tell what's a road and exactly like I can tell there's mountains, but I can't tell how tall they are. So like I'll make a destination and then I'll try to go there and it will literally be just like mountains for days. And I don't know how
yeah.
to get like I just feel lost 90% of the time in this game.
So I'm gonna say a different thing about the map design that I hate. So there's actually two things about the map that I hate. This is an open world game where you're kind of, I would assume that since you're setting your own goals, you would be referring to the map a lot, and the map also
I
tells
am
you like
referring to the
what
map a lot.
Pokemon might be found in the area. So there is no button to just open up the map. You have
Yes,
to open
there
up.
is.
There
Y.
is.
You just press Y.
Oh, okay. Well, I always have to open up the Pokédex and then go to the map.
That's X. X is the
No, I
Pokédex.
do the minus button. So
Oh yeah, no. Just hit Y and it goes right to the map.
okay, all right, children's game, you win this round. Okay, so all right, that is an invalid
Wow,
balk.
you've
That's
played more
that's
hours
not
than I
bad
have,
design.
and you're not even. Wow, that's
I have been trying
wow.
because I pressed all the D-pad buttons. Okay,
That's
so apparently it's why, folks. You learn something new every day.
why.
I looked for it. I swear.
I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so you can open up the map easily, but the fact that the map is always oriented, so like up is where your character is facing, and I couldn't find a setting to change that to be like a normal map. So like every time I look at the map, because I can't transpose things in my mind, it's a new map. I can't just look at it and be like, oh yes, I was traveling east, and now look at it's it's bad for me. I just want
Yeah.
to open up the map. North always
Well,
be up,
even as someone who can transpose things in their mind, it's challenging. You know, like
right?
and especially because we're still early in the game, kind of. You know, like we've played a lot, but not like we haven't. You know, we're still playing. So I don't know the area. Like I haven't gotten used to it. And because the
No.
map turns all the time, I have to look at it constantly. Like I have no
Yeah.
idea where I am in relation to anything else. One time I thought I literally was going back to the school and I was on the other side of the map.
Yeah,
So it's tough.
it shouldn't be this hard to orient it, and I've never seen a map system where the map changed orientation like that. I've seen, I think, mini maps, so it's always on the screen, it's always up
Mm-hmm.
in the corner,
Yeah.
and it faces like to match your character's facing. But then you go to the actual map, and it's always the same orientation. I don't know who asked for this feature. I don't know who designed this feature. I don't know who decided. Yes, the map will orient itself to face the same way as the player when you open it up. No, stop. Um, I'm actually gonna dive back, take a step back, because I
Okay.
did want to say one thing
Oh, sorry. I
about
just
a
got.
design feature. So if you are going to have an open world game that doesn't scale to, you know, your character's skills or abilities, your player's skills and abilities. I don't think that it should have situations that you cannot escape from. So, going back to my example, I fight one Titan Pokemon. I go down to the desert at the bottom of the mountain where the next Titan Pokemon is. I go to fight it, realize I'm severely outclassed. I cannot escape. The only option for me to leave now that I've realized, because it doesn't indicate to me at all that this is an extremely high level Pokemon compared to my Pokemon party. It doesn't tell me, way beyond your power. You will not be able to handle this. I don't get a phone call that says, "Hey, maybe you should turn around." No, it's the same phone call that you always get when you enter a Titan area, and it says, "There's the Titan up ahead. Go battle it." So I engage in battle. I do a super effective type move that does a tiny sliver of damage, and then it one hit KOs me from full health with a not very effective move. And I go, oh, I've made a mistake. There's no option to flee. I cannot escape from this battle. The only option I have is to watch my entire party one by one get absolutely destroyed by this mega Pokemon. And then it sends me back to the closest Pokemon Center, and they heal me up. And they go, "Oh shucks, you maybe shouldn't have done that." But if you're gonna have like these kinds of obstacles, let me get away from them when I realize that I've accidentally stepped in over my head.
I disagree. Like, I mean, that's obviously it's true. It's a truth, but I don't mind that. I think that's fine.
Okay. So, um, with me, it happened in the case of the Titan that I'm talking about,
Right.
the Quake Titan. And then it happened again to me. I was in an area that was filled with certain types of Pokemon that were like level 25, and I have like a level 30 party. I cross a bridge, it's got the same types of Pokemon. I talk to a trainer that's immediately across the bridge, and I start fighting them, and they send out like a level 55 Pokemon. And you can't run from trainers. And so I tried like that. I was like, okay, I actually think that I stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is something that I could possibly do. This is the underdog situation. I know type matchups. I could maybe pull this off. But I got to a point where I had one Pokemon left. I had like one revive left, and I was like, oh, I am not yet done with this battle. I have one more move, and it won't finish the battle even if I get a critical hit. So I just let them take me down and beat me. And okay, that's fine. It was a little frustrating, but it was also like a challenge. It was like, okay, I can do this. Whereas with the Titan Pokemon, it so outclassed me. It outsped everything that I had, so it always had the first attack. It always one shot my Pokemon, whether it was an not very effective, a super effective, or a normal effective move. And any attack that I did get through, like using the priority attacks that are guaranteed to go first, like Aqua Jet, did such a tiny sliver of damage that it would have taken me 200 hits to kill it.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't bother me, but
Oh yeah,
because it's fast, it's a quick death, and I don't know, like deaths don't really do anything to you in this game, so like it doesn't really.
that's okay. So that's a honk, I guess. Little consequence for dying compensates for the fact that they have poorly designed the open world, in my opinion. That's a bonk. Open world, they've done it in a weird, bad way, but to compensate, honk, they have designed it so that death is meaningless.
I think I have more positive things to say.
Okay, well, hey, it's your turn to take the stand.
It is my first time playing a mainline Pokemon game, and I do like it better than Arceus, honestly. Um, and I'm trying to think of even like specific reasons why. I'm sure they're out there, but
The
one of
story, I think you like the story feels more coherent.
well, it's easier not to get bored. I think Arceus was so repetitive that I was just
Mm,
like, okay, I'm done.
okay.
There's like 3 big tasks going on here. Arceus was literally just like the same thing over and over again.
Fair. And it was set up in literally a way where it was like catch the same Pokemon 25 times.
Oh yeah, like I could not. What's the one called that was like find a tall?
Oh, find the tall Buizel.
Yeah, the tall Weasel quest from Arceus. If you know, you know. I mean, I did not want to catch a Weasel in this game. I was like, I can't look at them anymore. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. So yeah, this game is engaging to me more. But one of my biggest honks is I really like the mini games you have to play before you do a gym. Is this like a thing that Pokemon does all the time, or is this new? Because I really like it.
No, no. This is a new thing. I can't remember Sword and Shield, I don't think. Normally gyms like are like a puzzle dungeon that leads
Okay,
up
okay.
to.
So it's kind of like that. It's just they're doing it in a different way. But
Yeah, they're doing
basically,
it in a here's a minigame way.
yeah, basically, in order to enter a gym, you have to do some like wild. So far, I've only done 2 gyms so far, but like they've both been pretty wild tasks. Wild in the sense of like who came up with this and why and how. Not wild in that they're hard. I mean, Isaac said there's some harder ones down the line. So, but the 2 I did were not hard, and it's just fun. It's like a fun little break from like what you're doing. Since it's different every time. Like I said, it keeps you engaged in the
Yeah.
game. I don't know. Just I like that it breaks up the gameplay. That it's like so different than the gameplay that we've had before. I like it.
Okay. All right. So my next thing I want to talk about. So we've basically talked about gyms. We've talked about Titan Pokemon. Let's talk about Team Star. Team Star.
I like this too. I'm not gonna bonk this.
The characters are fun. I don't think I'm gonna bonk it. I'm just gonna the battles that you do don't feel like anything to me. They say, okay, so what it is you have this mechanic where you can like send out a Pokemon and it can fight Pokemon without like doing an actual battle. And so they say you have 10 minutes, defeat 30 Pokemon doing this with only 3 of your Pokemon. So all it is I walk up, I press R 3 times, it sends out my 3 Pokemon. They beat up the 3 Pokemon in front of me while I watch. I move to the next area, press R 3 times, and I repeat that 10 times. And I do it in a minute and 30 seconds every time. My Pokemon have taken no damage, and then I get to fight the team boss. And I'm like,
I think it's fun. I
what
like
did
it.
I just do?
I like it. It feels like a mini game to me. I really like it.
I mean, I won't deny that it's a mini game, but it just doesn't feel like anything.
I don't know. It felt like something when I did it.
Okay, so different
fun.
strokes for different folks.
It was fun to watch my Pokemon just destroy other Pokemon. I was like, good job.
Okay, I guess that is like pretty fun, but I don't know. I'm just like watching a cutscene at that point.
What would you prefer to make it better? How could they make it feel like something? What would be a design element to make it feel better?
So because they have this entire base,
yeah,
what I would do is, all right, so this is basically like the script doctor section. But all right, so what I would do, they have this whole base, so I would have like different areas within the base that have I don't know, some level of importance. So like the supply depot, the cafeteria, and then something themed for the base. And what you would do is you would run in, you would throw out some of your Pokemon to like hold off like these massive waves of Pokemon, but at the same time you'd be doing like a battle against like a room keeper or something.
Mm-hmm.
So to use the cafeteria as an example, you'd run up to the cafeteria, there'd be waves and waves of like let's say it's the fire type area, there'd be like tons of Charmander. And then you'd throw out, your Pokemon to hold off the Charmander. They would have like a battle happening in the background, just like it's happening right now. But then you'd have to be like the master of the cafeteria in like a triple battle. So the other 3 Pokemon in your party, you'd send out all at the same time against that guy. You beat him, it like destroys, you've conquered the cafeteria, and once you've conquered the base, that's when the boss comes out. And that would just feel like a little more going on than I am watching my Pokemon just want to walk around and like they're not even doing cool moves or anything. They just walk up to each other and then it's like, oh, your Pokemon won.
For me, I think that would be too much. That would be so much. I would not want to play. I wouldn't want to do those. It would be too much. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because you'd have to do multiple. Because okay, that means that you're doing, like you said, like there'd be like at least 3 main locations where you have to do an actual Pokemon battle, and then you have to do another battle with the main guy. No.
So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, that's just how normal like gyms used to work, because that's how it would work. Like you would like the very first gym, for example, was a straight in the original Pokemon was a straight path up to the gym leader. But there was 2 trainers in front of you. So you would battle one trainer, you'd battle the second trainer, then you'd battle the gym leader.
Yeah.
That's
Pokemon battling, this is like a bonk for Pokemon overall. This is why I didn't end up, getting into it, I think, yet. I think Pokemon battling is my least favorite mechanic in the game. And
is it because you don't have the patience to level them all up?
No, the only reason I battle is to level them up, because I need them to be leveled up.
I know. I'm making a funny off of TikTok. Yes, I'm riffing off of TikTok people.
No, it's because I think it's boring for the most part. Not every battle's boring.
That's fair.
Once you have like your team, you're pretty much just using the same 2 moves with each Pokemon that work really well, and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's not,
That's been a valid criticism of Pokemon for a very long time, and like from the earliest days of Pokemon, people have legitimately taken their starter and just used that in every single battle, ignored the rest of their Pokemon. Like it's a playstyle that has
Speed run.
existed. You get to the end of the game, you have a level 70 Charizard or Blastoise or whatever, and none of your other Pokemon ever do anything for you. It
Yeah.
feels like a speed run, but like that's what people have. When I first encountered a classmate at like 8 years old who had done that, I remember being like, what are you doing? There was a published book that was like basically a let's play of Pokemon, but published as a book where they did that. And we owned that book. And
Wow.
they were talking about like, oh, I had my level 70 Charizard versus level 30 things, and I would only use potions after the battle. Mystifying to me. But yeah,
Yeah. It's
people
definitely
do
not
that.
my play style, but it's just the fact that you can.
Yeah, sweeping is super easy.
Could the mini games and the weird pre-Team Star battle be them trying to correct this? Like they're trying to add variation to how the whole battling system is done. It might not have landed, but for everyone, but like it's kind of seems like what they're doing is they're like removing some of the like unnecessary battling to get you to like do different things.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. So I will say 2 of the gym challenges that I did necessitate battling.
No, well, actually, one of mine did too, but not a lot.
So actually, here's another thing to talk about. The trainers, you don't lock eye contact and they force you to battle. Every trainer battle is like optional. You have to initiate it.
Oh yeah,
You have to walk up and be like, "Hello, let us battle."
yeah,
In previous Pokemon games, it was always if you crossed eyes with them, if they saw you, they would little exclamation point. They'd walk over to you and they'd say, "We locked eyes. You
yeah.
have to battle."
And I've seen people be frustrated by that fact, like if because you try to like avoid them at all costs while you play the game, like when I watch speed runs of different Pokemon games, it's really funny.
That's a fun thing about speedruns. Like, oh, we got a spinner coming up. We got to time this correctly. Or, oh, we've got to do some RNG manip. You won't have any of that in the upcoming speedrun.
I
The upcoming
really
speedrun is just going to be about jank.
want to see this. Wait, are they doing it? They're not doing it for AGDQ, right?
I haven't seen one posted, but the last schedule that they posted was pre-Pokemon, and
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, they
um,
changed the schedule, but I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. It might
I'm
be too
hoping to
soon.
see it.
I think we'll definitely see it. I don't know if it'll be this in January, if it'll be in the summer. But
Okay, yeah,
my guess is by summer we'll for sure have one.
for sure,
For sure. I
for
can't wait. I
sure.
cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
I do think we should probably wrap up this section. So
Okay,
if
let's
anyone
just
has
talk
any
about
last thoughts,
Terastilizing.
let's talk about Terastilizing, and then because that's the newest game design element
Yes.
of Pokemon.
It feels like a whole lot of nothing to me. It
Same.
I don't use it. My opponent. There was a gym leader who was like, "Oh, I'm gonna terrestrialize my Pokemon," and then I just didn't terrestrialize mine and just one shot his, and he was like, "Ah, you got me."
Basically, you like crystallize your Pokemon, and each Pokemon has a different terastallized type. Most types that you'll like catch in the wild will be a type that the Pokemon already is. So if you have like a flying bug Pokemon, it's gonna probably terastallize to either bug or flying. And then whatever its terastallized type is, when you do use that power, then say it's bug, then the bug attacks will be stronger in the form when you're in that
Yes.
form. Now, and then the gimmick is like, oh, but you could have like a Pokemon that doesn't have, like maybe it's flying bug, but it terastallizes to fire. Wow. But that only works if you have fire moves, right?
It only works if you have fire moves, because the only thing that terrestrializing does is it changes your type to exclusively be your Terra type. So if you're a flying bug, you become fire type. And then it gives you an extra boost to your Terra type moves. So if, again, using the flying bug example,
Yeah.
you are flying bug, you Terastillize, you become fire type, and your fire type attacks get an increased boost over
But
what
if
they
you
would
don't
get
have any
normally.
fire type attacks, then you're SOL.
I do think that every Pokemon with a weird Terra type also knows at least one move.
Not true. I got
No?
screwed. Yes, the Strudel I picked up that was ice type has no ice moves, and I tried to teach it an ice move, and it won't learn it. So
Oh.
It's literally
I
useless.
assume that it learns Ice Fang at some point because it's got the big
useless.
teeth.
Maybe, but right now it's literally. I mean, the Shroodle's not useless, but like the fact that it's an ice type. Ooh, cool. It's like.
I mean, if you come up against a Pokemon that's strong versus poison and weak versus ice, or like doesn't do extra damage to ice, you could use it.
I guess. I'm just saying.
Like, so it's. I see some interesting ideas in the concept. I see some interesting things that you can do with taking a bug flying and making it a fire type, or having the option of making it a fire, making it an ice. I think a really popular thing to do in like competitive battling for a long time was I I had a Tyranitar at one point, and it had the move Ice Beam, which is an ice type move. It's a rock dark type. It was just in case certain Pokemon came up, I would have a defense against them. I could like get some damage in on them, even though they would have the advantage. So like specifically ground types because they're weak against ice. If a ground type came in, I would use Ice Beam, and it would do a ton of unexpected damage because the enemy player would never expect Tyranitar to have Ice Beam. With Terra types, being able to change from dark ground or dark rock to ice and get a super same type attack bonus from that Ice Beam, kind of interesting. It like expands the concept that's always been there and gives you a little extra something that you can do, but you really have to pick which Terra types you want for a given Pokemon. Adds another layer to team building. I think at super high competitive level, Terastilizing can be like interesting, but just playing through the game, it's a nothing. It's meaningless. It doesn't do anything. You sweep like you've always swept. You're just like, okay, normal type gym, here's my fighting type Pokemon. Close combat, 3 times, gym's over, moving on. No Terastilizing involved at all.
I will let's leave on a positive note that
Okay.
they look very cool.
They do look cool. They get all shiny, glittery, icy, and they get big hats.
They
And
get a
everybody
little
loves
hat.
hats. Everybody loves hats.
It's a good thing. All right. Well, that's our basically Honk and Bonk, our revised Honk and Bonk, a little bit more of a rant of Pokemon.
Yeah, but
Pokemon
hey,
design.
I feel like we broke down. I feel like any naysayers who said we reviewed too much.
Yes, any naysayers out there, there's more
Not
than
calling
one.
anyone out specifically.
Oh boy. All right. All right. We're going to move on to the rapid fire round. That's where we generate 3 random words. We have 5 minutes to make a game out of those 3 words. That's pretty much how it goes. Isaac, are you ready with the timer?
I'm not. Okay, I am ready. Are you ready for me to start it?
Yes, I am.
All right, 3, 2, 1, start.
Encourage. Serve. Dressing.
Encourage serve or surf?
Serve like a serving platter. I'm serving you. Serve. Yeah.
Encourage serve.
Dressing.
Dressing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm out. I'm trying.
You no. Okay. So,
like salad dressing. Is that where we're going?
no. Well,
No.
I'm thinking of you taking serving and dressing, combining them. There is a butler involved here.
Okay. All right.
The butler is encouraging. Are you the butler encouraging your boss? I'm going to use boss instead of master because that sounds better.
I think that's how they say it these days.
Oh, is it? I actually didn't know because the common picture of butler is like, yes, Master Bruce. Master Wayne,
I
whatever.
think there are butlers these days, and I don't think they call any. I don't know.
Okay, good.
If you're a butler, let us know.
Yeah, write us in, butlers. All right, so butler. I think encouraging.
You play as a butler, and you have to pick the most encouraging phrases. I love this mechanic. I go back to it all the time. You have a choice. You have to pick the most encouraging phrases for like your client, basically.
Okay.
And the more encouraging you are, the better they do, and the more money you get. And eventually you get your own butler. That's the whole thing.
You're effectively cheering on your client as they perform something. So let's make it funny. Let's make it ridiculous. This butler cheers on their client who does water horse polo.
I feel like it could just be a bunch of different activities, right?
Oh, a bunch of different activities. Okay.
I like
Okay,
polo.
so
Yeah.
game mechanic wise, how do you know what's going to be an encouraging phrase for your client?
You don't. You have to learn by trial and error.
By trial and error. Oh, okay.
So like you'll say something and they'll be like, "I hate when you talk about my hair," and then you'll never compliment their hair again.
Okay. Is there any way, because trial and error can be a frustrating experience for players, is there any starter info that you get? Like, oh, do you get like a dossier?
I mean, we're making this game together, so you can make that right now. You don't have
Okay,
to ask
well,
me.
I'm trying to make it together. I don't want to just say you get a dossier, you know? All right, so you get a dossier. So, okay, you are a traveling butler who gets a bunch of different clients
Yes.
who do a bunch of different things.
Here we are. We got it.
You start with a dossier, and that gives some basic information, but as all good games of this type, like you can stick to the script and just do what the dossier says, like word for word, or you can try to go off of it a little bit based on, like, let's say you get a dossier, you have one conversation with your client, and then they go to do the thing, and then based on that conversation it might give you a little hint that, hey, maybe this client would be even more encouraged if you go a little off the dossier, you take the risk and potentially get a bigger payoff, which is more story beats, and like the secret ending is based on you hitting these extra levels of encouragement. So I'm thinking that this feels very like Valhalla, like coffee talk style.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they asked for this kind of drink, but you can make a different drink because you know them so well, sort of thing. So that's my thoughts.
I think it's
For
called "Hold On to Your Butler." Hold on to
hold
your
on
butt.
to your butler,
Blair.
and with 1 minute and 3 seconds left on the clock, hold on to your butler. That is a fully designed, randomly generated game, folks.
All right. Are you ready for our next 3 words?
Yes. 3, 2, 1, start.
Oh boy. I don't know. I might have to redo these, but let's
Love
read
it,
them.
folks. Let's just hear them. Let's just hear them.
So I'll tell you why at the end. Fame.
Fame.
Conference.
Conference.
And this last word is the issue. Do. D-O. Do. We've never gotten like a verb that's like to be. To do. Do. I don't know if we can use that word.
No, that's actually that's a gimme because every game involves doing things. So like
Okay,
we don't even
all right.
we just have 2 words. We are unleashed from the third one. We can do whatever. There is no third word effectively.
All right.
Yeah. So conference, and what was the first one?
Fame
Conference. Okay, conference tycoon.
Yes, I love it. That's it. We don't need to do anything else.
Yeah. You just design a conference to get as famous as possible. Get people in. You design the booths and the advertisements and everything.
I love a tycoon game. I know exactly what it is. Like you say it and I know. It's
called Conference Tycoon.
It's called Conference Tycoon.
Or no, Tycon.
Tycon.
Because it's Tycoon Con.
Yes, I know. It's amazing. I love
3 minutes and 37 seconds left. Time, Tycon.
I want to play that game. All right. Are you ready for our final 3?
So the new iOS update.
Oh, okay. We're not ready.
Has made this actually harder than it needs to be. No. But I am ready now. So
okay. All
3, 2, 1, go.
Rational.
Okay.
Location.
Okay.
Flu.
Flu?
F-L-U, like the sickness. Flu.
Rational location flu. All right, this makes me think of like that board game / computer game Pandemic, where your job is to make a disease that gets through various locations.
So maybe this is like the opposite, and you're trying to make locations where the disease doesn't go. This is disease mitigation.
Disease mitigation.
It's a learn 'em up.
A learn 'em up that you sold me on this one. Is this appropriate for anything past the year 2022?
I think it's extra appropriate to create a game that teaches people how to not get sick. That sounds fine to me. I think Pandemic might be considered inappropriate for this year of our Lord.
That's right. Trying to spread a plague across the world?
Right.
No thanks.
What about
this
trying
is about
to mitigate?
preventing
Yeah, it's
Okay.
prevention and mitigation and the game.
And I think I've played a pretty similar game, like in high school or something.
Ooh. Learn them up.
So
Learn them up.
yeah, like a legitimate learn 'em up. Like in a class, you made a series of choices. So it's very easy, like that one learn 'em up game that you honked and bonked that time about like Uber or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like you make a couple choices and then at the end it tells you like the results of your choices.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's not like an extremely replayable game, but for hey, 40 minutes in a classroom.
Right. It's a learn them up game. It's to learn
Yeah.
up, and once a year you pull it out, you dust off the CD case, you put it in the CD-ROM.
Yeah. Hit it as part of the curriculum. So like the options are it just presents a scenario like people are starting to get sick. One of the symptoms is coughing. Do you make a public announcement? Do you, as head of the CDC or whatever, make a public announcement? Please start washing your hands. Please start wearing masks. Do continue your lives as normal. There's nothing to worry about. Or like
Yeah.
option D, A and B, and then the kid goes, I don't know, do nothing. It doesn't seem serious yet. And then then the next sequence, because you picked like the wrong choice, it's like getting a little worse, but you can still get back at it. And then once you go through all 10 choices, it tells you the final result, whether the world is doomed or not. So what's the name of this? We've got 2 minutes and 25 seconds left. Well, obviously, Learn 'em Up Kids. Is it Learn 'em Up Kids : Pandemic Edition?
No, it's got to be a little more jazzy than that.
You're right.
Learn 'em Up Kids fight the flu.
Okay, Learn 'em Up Kids fight the flu. Time 2:06. 2 minutes and 6 seconds left.
Nice.
Learn 'em Up Kids fight the flu. The edutainment game for kids.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that is the end of our show. Thank you all for listening. You can find us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter while it lasts at Make That Game Pod. I will not stop making that joke until we know if Twitter is even going to be here.
That's the problem. It's going to last forever now.
No. It's not. Comment below how long you think Twitter will last.
Ooh, we can put money on it. No, we're not a... No.
No. That was a joke. That was a funny. All right. We also have our YouTube channel at Make That Game. You can find us youtube.com/@MakeThatGame. The @ symbol, Make That Game, not the word. And please subscribe to us there. That's really helpful for us. You can also leave us a review on iTunes. And you can email us, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com, if you have any ideas about games or if you want us to review a game. Nope, sorry. If you want us to talk about the design specifically about a game, then we'll do that.
Yes, we don't do reviews.
If you want to, if you have words that you want us to make a game about, etc., etc., etc. And if you heard a game today that you think should exist in this world, we encourage you to get out there and make that game.